Hey, future medics, let's talk about the body doing work, real work. We're going to be talking about active transfusion. And so far, we've been talking about moving with the gradient and with the flow. And active transport is absolutely the opposite of this. We're going to move from low levels of concentration against the gradient to high levels of concentration. And to do that requires ATP because it is against natural diffusion. So remember back to the diffusion video where I had the elevator example, how everyone likes to spread out and not be touching each other and not even be looking at each other, right? And if we wanted to jam pack that elevator car full of people, it takes an outside force. Usually that outside force is just people forcing their way in, but it makes everybody inside uncomfortable because that's not our normal and we don't like it. In the cell, the outside force is ATP. And ATP is going to force the cell against its natural gradient. The main example that we see of this is the sodium-potassium pump. Every second of every day, your body is constantly using this to change charges inside of the cell. And it will use ATP to force sodium back outside of the cell. So let's break this down a little bit and look at it. So naturally, at its baseline, potassium sits inside of the cell and sodium sits outside of the cell. But we need to be able to change charges inside and out of the cell. That's important for things like muscle contractions. So if you want your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, and your brain to be able to send impulses down its pathways to tell you to move, we have to keep changing the charge in and out of the cell to make electrical impulses. And we do that by moving these charged ions in and out of the cell. The problem is that sodium, because there's so much of it extracellularly, whenever we have to flip it back, we're pushing against its gradient. It doesn't want to flow out because there's not a lot of sodium in the cell. It wants to stay there and be able to have room and spread out just like we do in the elevator car. But it needs to go back outside of the cell so we can change the voltage. So the cell will use ATP to force sodium to an area of higher sodium concentration so that we can change and activate everything that we need to. Active transport uses ATP to maintain life. Without it, nothing will fire correctly, which means our brain, our heart, our muscles, they all stop moving and they all stop working. So, next video is tonicity and IV fluids and how you, the provider, can affect all of these things we've been talking about with the medications and the fluids that you give. It's all going to make sense. It's all coming together. I can tell. I can see it. You're doing a great job. I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself right now. And I'll see you soon.